Hi YouTube, Watchify here with another video. Today I'm going to cover the famous Seiko SNA411, also known as the Flightmaster. The full model name is actually SNA411P1. It's a 200 meter water resistant Aviator style quartz chronograph with a stopwatch, alarm, and a bidirectional rotating bezel that you can use to perform calculations and conversions. The SNA411 is the most common and widely available version in this Flightmaster line, but there are a few other variants that I'll mention later in the video. In terms of my collection, this watch is most similar to my Citizen Nighthawk, which I recently did a video on, and also has a sliding bezel. The Flightmaster look and case design is easily recognizable, and I guess you could say it's Seiko's effort to pay homage to the Breitling Navitimer. The case dimensions are 41.5mm case size, lug-to-lug distance of 44.1mm, thickness is 12.8mm, and the lug width is an odd 21mm. Size for my wrist, the watch weighs in at 144 grams on Bracelet. Unfortunately, you don't get any drilled lug holes on this case. Of note is that if you wear this watch on the supplied bracelet, you can see how the end link protrudes quite a bit further than the lugs, which would result in an effective lug-to-lug distance of 49mm. You'll also find that the bezel overhangs the case as well. There's quite a bit of polishing seen on this case, with only the top of the lugs having a brushed finish, so even though this is a tool watch, all this polishing makes it look a bit more high-end. There's an unsigned screw-down crown at the 3 o'clock position with screw-down pushers above and below it. The main screw-down crown is well sized, and I don't really have a problem with unscrewing the pushers either, as they all have a nice coin edge to them. There's a polished coin edge bidirectional bezel that has a smooth action to it with no noise heard when rotating it. I believe the bezel insert is aluminum, and you can see that it has a black background with mostly silver indicators. The compass markers are, however, done in yellow, and you'll see the due north character is done in red. The markings on this bezel insert are supposed to line up with the markings on the internal chapter ring to help you do your calculations and conversions. Just like I mentioned with my Citizen Nighthawk, I didn't purchase the watch for this functionality, and I'm not knowledgeable on how to use it, but there are a good amount of videos and websites that go over how to use the Flightmaster slide rule. The dial is done in black, and there's a lot going on to say the least. There are 3 subdials on it, with the alarm subdial near 6, the seconds subdial near 9, and the stopwatch subdial near 12. All of them have silver hands except for the yellow stopwatch minute subdial. I noticed that only the alarm subdial is outlined in silver, with the others just being outlined in white. There's an applied Seiko logo near 3 o'clock, and printed right below it 200 meter and chronograph wording done in a nice cursive font. There are 8 round silver indices on the dial that are lume filled, and you'll find the unframed slightly beveled date window at 3 o'clock. Covering the dial is a domed hardlex crystal. Even though a domed crystal adds distortion when viewing from certain angles, I prefer the look it gives the watch over a flat crystal. The hour and minute hands are pencil shaped and done in polished silver, and are also lumed with Seiko's proprietary Lumibrite. The third hand on this watch is the stopwatch seconds indicator and is done in yellow with a lume filled arrow marker and a fan shaped counterbalance. This hand is always going to rest at 12 o'clock unless you're running the stopwatch. Here's a lume shot of the dial and the hands, and I find that it's not as long lasting, probably due to the limited amount being able to be applied to the smaller indices. The movement inside this watch is Seiko's quartz caliber 7T62, which has an accuracy rating of plus or minus 15 seconds a month. Seiko claims the battery should last about 3 years before needing to be replaced, but that of course depends on how often you use the stopwatch and alarm features. The replacement 6R927W batteries are very affordable, with a 10-pack only costing about $3, but I still think it would have been nice if Seiko had given this watch a solar movement. Speaking of the stopwatch and alarm, to operate the stopwatch, like most chronographs, just press down on the top pusher once. Pressing it again will pause the stopwatch. Pressing the bottom pusher will reset it. In terms of the alarm, it appears to have limited functionality, and I'm not sure if anyone really uses it. From what I read, it's limited to a 12-hour period and has to be set for each time you want it to go off. I tested it and it's not very loud at all. Maybe you could use the alarm sub-dial as a sort of dual time indicator by setting it to an alternate time zone like I've done here. I have mixed feelings about the bracelet that comes with this watch. It does have solid end links, but it just has a stamped metal fold-over clasp. I think the design of the links is also a bit polarizing. The thing that sticks out is the polished center link section that has a line down the middle. I get why Seiko felt that part being polished would have gone well with the case, but I think I would have preferred that it had a brushed finish like the underside of the bracelet has. I've even heard of people doing their own DIY brushing on these outer center links. The other dislike I have with this bracelet is how there is no taper to it. I feel Seiko should have done that here, as you can see how the clasp is narrower than the bracelet length, so it sort of looks mismatched. You only get 2 micro adjustment holes on this clasp, and there are no half links, so it might be tough for some to get their preferred fit. You get a locking mechanism, double push button release, and the Seiko logo is stamped onto the clasp. Finally, the links on this bracelet are held together with push pins. It's very common for owners to swap out the OEM bracelet for another strap. Popular strap types used with this watch are leather or elastic parachute style straps. I personally don't like the way those look with this Flightmaster, but I've worn mine on a 20mm NATO strap. Because 21mm straps are not as common, you can either try a 22mm strap and wedge it in depending on the material, or use a 20mm strap and just deal with the millimeter gap. If you're like me, you'll find that strap changes are going to be frustrating, not only because there are no drilled lug holes, but also because the location of the spring bar holes on the lugs is very close to the case and won't allow you to slide a NATO strap through. You have to position the watch on the strap first and then insert the spring bars. In terms of availability, I couldn't find this watch on Seiko's website, and it might even be officially discontinued, but they're still available at online retailers. At Amazon, it's selling for $240 at the time of filming, and on eBay, new models are selling between $240 to $250. That's less than what I paid for my watch in 2020. As far as other variants of this watch, the only ones I'm aware of are the white dial with blue accent SNA411, the gold-colored SNA414, the PBD SZET003, the rare gray insert SNA721 with blue accents, and the also rare white dial with red accents SNA719. Of all these variants, I like the last 2 the most, and I think Seiko should have made one of those their widely available model instead of the SNA411. This is because I found that I don't really like yellow accents on my watches. If I had to choose between this Seiko Flightmaster and my Citizen Nighthawk, I would choose the Nighthawk without a doubt. It has an eco-drive movement. I like the case design more. It's also water resistant to 200 meters, and it has a much better bracelet. Still, this Seiko Flightmaster became popular for a reason, and you'll find that it's a common watch to see in many Seiko collections. You get a watch with a worry-free grab-and-go quartz movement, styling that makes it look more expensive than what it costs, and some nice bells and whistles to go along. Other than the Nighthawk, I really couldn't locate an alternative to this watch that has 200 meters of water resistance and is in an affordable price bracket. Well, that'll be it for this video. I hope you found it interesting, and if you did, feel free to like, comment, or subscribe. I wanted to thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in another video.